What up, my fellow dorks? It is the Turtle Dork here with another recap and review for Game of Thrones. We're coming to the end. This is episode 8 called Second Sons. Also directed by Michelle McLaren, her second in a row. I am the Turtle Dork, like I just said before, here with this guy stuffing his face with
the Popcorn Dork.
Popcorn. Disco Dork, aka the Popcorn Dork, aka the garlic parmesan enthusiast dork. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and get into this episode 8. So let's kick it off with the Hound and Arya, what we've been waiting for. So the season opens up with the Hound and Arya, and they're asleep. She wakes up first. She sees him like resting peacefully next to a tree. She picks up a rock, goes over there, and he's awake. He's aware. He's like, "Look, girl, I'm gonna give you one shot to kill me with this rock. If you don't kill me, I'm gonna break both your hands." And so she thinks about it, like,
yeah, disappointed in Arya, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, she should have shoot your shot. Look.
Yeah, but if she missed that shot, she ain't gonna be able to shoot no more shots with them broke hands.
Arya, if you can hit a wooden hay dude with the bow and arrow from 50 feet away, you can't kill the Hound with a rock. You standing over his head, something wrong.
Yeah. So they end up getting on a horse and they're heading to
the twin.
The twin. Oh, that's what's called, the twin. Yeah, mm-hmm. Where for the wedding, because Arya doesn't know about that. She's assuming that the Hound is taking her back to King's Landing, but of course Arya doesn't know everything that's gone down at Blackwater, and the fact that, you know, the Hound has said fuck the king, fuck the queen, fuck King's Landing, fuck your couch, and all that other shit. And so yeah, and you know, he talks a little bit about what went down in King's Landing as far as him saving her sister Sansa. So I'm excited now that they're together, because this was one of the points in the show that I really was that really stands out for me was the relationship between the Hound and Arya, and one of the reunions I'm definitely looking forward to the most. Hopefully see in season 8. Dany meeting with the Second Sons. We get introduced to Dario, played by Ed Skrein, Francis. From Deadpool. So yeah, this is a pretty interesting scene, because I think Dany is trying to kind of recruit them in a way, but they have a contract with Yunkai. Mm-hmm. And so they're sworn to that contract, mm-hmm. and she's kind of proposing that, look, if you fight for me, work for me, become part of my army to fight for my war, or fight to help me get to the throne, you know, I'll reward you with gold, I'll reward you with all these different things, ships, anything that you could imagine. But they a little bit hesitant and kind of turn her down. But having that meeting with them, Dario's kind of smitten with her a little bit, mm-hmm. and you know, it's kind of giving her the look. Mm-hmm. And one of them is just like how Kraznys in Astapor was treating Dany. One is just kind of being so disrespectful, so just talking down to her, just being really demeaning and derogatory towards Dany. Mm-hmm. And it's just so weird now at this point in the show where Dany is, like seeing men treat her like that. Like, I know for her, she's not having it, but even for me as an audience member watching Dany, it's just like seeing that, it just doesn't even play right anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like she's on a whole nother level. So for a dude to come in just because he's a man, to think that he could talk down to Dany because she's a woman, mm-hmm. like, I'm just like, dude, you end over your head, dog. Like, you can't. Mm-hmm. So so that meeting, anything with the Second Sons, your boy Ed Skrein, because you've been waiting to see Ed Skrein. You've been asking about him.
I've been wondering like when he was gonna pop up. I just and he's just that character. It's not like that character's of any particular
No.
note to me.
No.
It's just that I just remember
him being
Ed
in the
Skrein
show.
playing a character that in one season it was Ed Skrein playing Dario, but then in another season it was a totally different actor.
And that's-
so
yeah.
I was trying to, since this rewatch, I was trying to go back and find out where that happened.
Yeah, because I remember Dario, but I always remember Dario from the actor who replaced Ed Skrein. I didn't even correlate that Ed Skrein was the same character that the other guy was playing, because Dario ends up getting intimately involved. You gonna keep it rolling, man. I don't care.
Wait, do they?
Yeah. She becomes like his little,
He becomes her side piece, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, and Jorah was Jorah gone?
Jorah did leave for a moment, but I think he was around. But that was
No, when he was side piecing, was Jorah around?
I want to say so, because I think it happens next season. Yeah, that's torturous for that man.
You asked me last episode if what was worse.
Oh yeah,
homeboy.
Orel with Ygritte. Yeah.
Hell no, that ain't worse than this shit. If Dario was there when Jorah was there, and Dario was side piecing for Dany, and Jorah was there, that shit's, come on, man. He's standing outside because he gotta stand guard. He gotta protect and stand guard, so he gotta be outside the room listening to that shit.
Dude,
savage.
Believe me, in my younger days, I've been Jorah, so I know.
Damn, dog, you standing outside the room?
No, not like that. But I've been Jorah. I know that feeling, so it's not fun. So I feel for that man. I really do. Anyway, Stannis and Davos talking about Gendry. So this is down in the dungeon where Davos has been kept, and Stannis says, he's going to release Davos, but they're talking about Gendry and what the Red Woman, what Melisandre is going to be using Gendry for.
Yeah, because when Stannis greets Davos, he informs Davos that Melisandre has returned, and Davos comments that I didn't even know she was gone. And Stannis says, yeah, and she's brought a bastard boy back with her. And that's when they have that discussion.
And it goes to the same thing that he was saying, because Davos was saying, why are you going to sacrifice this kid? He's done nothing. He's innocent.
Yeah.
And, Stannis brings up Renly, but he was like, look, Renly knew that you were the rightful heir, but yet tried to usurp you to become the king of Westeros. So, but this kid doesn't know any of this. He's innocent in all of this. So why do this?
Yeah.
And it's the whole idea about he has king's blood. And again, Melisandre getting into Stannis' ear and doing all that stuff with him.
During when Stannis was giving that explanation, I got the sense that he was trying to convince himself.
Oh, okay.
Because even Davos remarked, he said, you could have came and freed me yesterday. You could have freed me tomorrow, but you're here today, the day that she brought the boy, because you seek my counsel for me to advise you against this, because you yourself know that this isn't the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But even before he said that, just the way that Stannis was delivering that dialogue about how, this is war, why should I let the bastard son of some tavern whore stand between me and the throne and all that? Yeah. I got the sense that he's trying to psych himself into doing it. He's trying to tell himself that this is the right thing to do, trying to justify this shit, because deep down he doesn't want to do it. And you can kind of see, well, when we get to that scene, but you can kind of see that the look on his face when he comes upon Melisandre enacting her plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Next thing I have here is the second sons, when they're sitting around talking about Dany. And basically they come up with the plan to have one of them sneak into where she's staying, basically to kill her, to murder her.
Yeah.
And we just get a little bit more of the dynamic between the three of them, and then ultimately how that plays into the towards the end with the final scene, when they actually sneak in to try to kill Dany. Yeah. But just getting the vibe of what they think of Dany. The one guy that was really being demeaning to her, and how he has one of the paid women there, and just the way he treats her and stuff, and the way Dario is talking. You could see like their stance and how they feel about the whole thing, as far as Dario and his position and where he stands and where the other two stand. So I just thought that was an interesting scene to see, to really kind of establish where we go with the second sons towards the end of the episode. Tyrion, right before the wedding, in the room, when he's trying to kind of calm her down, where, she's calling him, my lord. He's like, look, you don't have to call me that. You can, call me Tyrion. He's really just, because you can see that she's nervous, and, he's saying, like, I understand how you feel. And she's like, look, no, you don't understand how I feel. It's like, you're right. But in
reality, he does.
And that's what I was going to say. He does, because basically in this situation, neither one of them want this. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what he's trying to tell her. He's like, look, this was ordered by my father, so I don't want you to think that this is something that I'm asking for. Yeah. This is just something that needs to be done, but I don't want this any more than you want this. Yeah. So I love the way Tyrion handles Sansa. Like he's really caring and really gentle, and is just very nurturing towards her. Even before all of this, he's always been that way, and I like the way that he treats Sansa.
The thing I find interesting about this scene is it's so 180 and counter to all the stuff that I say when I'm championing Tyrion and why I love him so much. Like, he walks in the room, he's the master of the tongue. Like, he knows the thing, he knows what to say, and he can out-talk anybody. But when it comes to this 14-year-old girl, he can't get the right phrase out. He doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know how to address her or this particular situation. Yeah. So it's kind of funny to see him off keel a little bit.
Yeah, I know. So, okay. So before we get to the wedding, Marjorie and Cersei, where she grabs her. It's like, we're sisters, and Cersei, she's like, bitch, get the fuck off me.
Get off my goddamn arm.
So, but what I like about that scene is basically Cersei kind of calling Marjorie out. She tells the story about House Rain and about how they were the second wealthiest house. But now it's the Tyrells that's the second wealthiest house, and how you want to get up on that perch to be number one so that you can stand up there all alone. And she says, the last time, the second wealthiest house tried to do that, you see what happened to them, and is there a House Rain anymore? And it's like, no. And and it basically goes a little bit to what she talks about, the Lannister song, the Rains of Castamere. Yeah. And I like, because even in the musical cues when she's giving this speech to Marjorie, you can hear a little bit of the Rains of Castamere playing in the background. Yeah. And it's the Lannister song, and it's a very unsettling song, and we're going to see that in the next episode.
Yeah, it's interesting that they have that. Cersei explains the origins of this song in this episode that precedes the one with the red wedding in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And basically, like, because up to this point, Cersei doesn't come out and say, I don't like you, but I'm pretty sure Margie is aware that by their exchanges previously, that she knows that Cersei feels the type of way. But at the end of this scene, Cersei, like, she has no cut cards. She tells her, if you ever call me sister again, I'll have you strangled in your sleep. Yeah. Or some shit like that. Yeah. Basically let her know, I don't fuck with you like that. Nah. I don't like you. Yeah. And for Marjorie, she's kind of taken aback, but at the same time, she's like, all right, now I know where we stand. Like, we 100 now.
I got a feeling Marjorie already kind of knew where they stood, but it just wasn't never spoken. It was never spoken. Let's get to the actual wedding of Tyrion. Not the reception, not that part yet, but the actual wedding. And Joffrey, because...
No fucking asshole, man.
Yeah, it's like, he's like, because your father's not around, because you yourself killed her fucking father, but he's gonna walk her down because she doesn't have her father there to walk her down the aisle.
Yeah.
And then he fucking takes the goddamn step thing. So
Dick move, man. Dick move, man.
And I'm surprised Tywin even let him do that.
Yeah.
I mean, well, he is the king. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the reception.
I'm disappointed. You know what I'm disappointed in? I'm disappointed in Bronn. I'm disappointed in my man ain't come on.
Oh,
man.
really?
And, come on, that's your dog. Man, you supposed to... Even if it's not tradition out of ceremony, at least go make the effort and have somebody say, "Hey, man, you can't do that. That's not part of it." But like, for me, that scene was hard to watch because, firstly, both parties involved don't want to be in that situation, right?
They really don't.
But for Tyrion, you know, it's embarrassing for him. You know that Joffrey just made a fool of him.
Yeah.
You know, removing the stool. He's already aware of what people think of him in his image, and then on this day that traditionally is supposed to be a joyous occasion.
Yep,
neither people want to be there, so he's in this arranged marriage that he doesn't want to be in. So even if he had the step stool there, it still would have been an uncomfortable bad situation for him.
Absolutely.
And so to top the shit off, Joffrey removes his step stool to humiliate him even further.
Yeah.
And I just feel so bad. I just feel so bad for Tyrion in that regard. Not even if he wasn't my favorite character. Even if he was.
Yeah.
Even if that was just like somebody who was that was their first time on the show. It was just some throwaway character. Like
to put them in that situation.
In that situation, have them publicly humiliated like that. Like that's just not cool, man.
It's really not. So before we get to the reception, let's talk a little bit about Melisandre, the scene that you alluded to, with her seducing Gendry to ultimately sacrifice him with the lead. Because I do remember this scene from originally watching it.
I had forgotten about it.
Yeah, because you mentioned that you didn't remember that, and I do remember it, but I couldn't remember exactly how it all played out. I just remember visually the leeches that she put on his body. But I don't think after this we see Gendry anymore. That's why I thought it was shocking to me when he popped back up last season, because I don't think we see him until the 7th season. So I thought Gendry was dead.
I thought he would, and even because of the discussion that that they have about enacting this plan. They say like, "Oh, you're gonna kill gonna kill a boy or whatever. You're gonna kill this innocent boy." So and then the conversation Melisandre has with Stannis earlier about when you slaughter a lamb, you don't show him the knife because that instills fear in the lamb. That fear seeps into the meat. That meat, that fear taints the flavor of the meat.
Yeah.
And so it just gave me the impression that they were going to kill him. They were going to sacrifice, because they say sacrifice.
Sacrifice, yeah.
So I'm like, oh shit, Genji's going to fucking die. But you're right. Like after this, I don't remember seeing it. If they show him, I'm curious to see in what context.
Yeah.
But he's still alive at the end of the day.
Yeah, he is still alive. But yeah, I mean, so it was just
and I'm
weird.
glad. I ain't complaining.
Definitely, because I like Gendry, and I want to see where his character goes from here.
Yeah.
But when we continue to rewatch, I want to see if he pops back up, because I don't remember seeing him from this episode until this past 7th season that just ended. So all right, let's go ahead and get into the wedding reception, because there's a lot that was happening in this wedding reception.
Oh yeah.
First, we have Tyrion and Sansa up front, and Tyrion is getting wasted. He's getting drunk. And the first thing I want to talk about is Tywin, when he comes up to Tyrion, and he's pissed because he's saying, look, you need to put a baby in her again. All he cares about is the name. All he cares about is continuing the Lannister name, continuing that legacy. He was like, you need to stop drinking, because you got to put a baby in her tonight so that you can have a Lannister a child, so we can continue our legacy.
Yeah.
So that's the first part of that. That I guess we could talk about that. What you think about that interaction between Tywin and just seeing Tyrion getting drunk and wasted in that reception?
My first impression is Tywin had a badass outfit on as always.
He do though. He do.
Your man got the best tailor in Westeros.
I need his tailor, because my man is clean.
This shit was fresh. That was all I got.
All right, the second part of that is fucking Joffrey. This dude
Asshole.
talking about basically he's saying, look, if my uncle don't take care of it, I'm gonna basically rape you. And I'm like,
Then on top of that, the motherfucker turn around to everybody. Can I get your attention, please?
yeah.
Let's start the betting ceremony. Like, again, putting him on blast, trying to humiliate him in front of all these people. Then also humiliating Sansa.
Yeah, and then that goes. Let's get to that point too. So when that happens, basically Tyrion threatens Joffrey. And so of course Joffrey is the king, and Tywin has to step in there. And Tyrion, being the smart man that he is, tries to play it off as a joke. And but it goes to further your point as far as like going back to Blackwater and knowing that Joffrey was the one that coordinated the whole thing for trying to get Tyrion killed. Mm-hmm. And also why it's easy to blame Tyrion for Joffrey's death. Spoiler alert.
When he gave that threat, and because I can't remember specifically what Joffrey says at the ceremony that pisses Tyrion off, but he gets so pissed off he grabs the knife and sticks it in the table, and he says something about gonna cut his dick off or some shit
something like that. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was. Oh yeah, I'll give you a wooden cock or something he said like that.
Yeah, so for him to have that outburst in front of all those people, if or when Joffrey turns up dead, obviously, okay, that's the most recent public display of, somebody having some type of motive or reason to do something to Joffrey like that. So it didn't help his argument, like once Joffrey's dead and Tyrion's being accused.
Exactly. And then the last point is just Sir Loras and Cersei up on the bow.
Yo. God damn.
Oh man.
So he sees, Cersei storms off because Joffrey's tripping and he won't go talk to Marjorie. Instead, he wants to go fuck with Sansa. Yeah. So she goes out to get some fresh air, and Loras he sees her, and I guess he's like, all right, well, our awkward, unwanted wedding is next. So let me go.
Let me try to talk to her.
Do some small talk.
Yeah. And Cersei ain't having it. He trying to go over there and make small talk about, his father. He's like, no one gives a shit about your father.
He said, no, my father once said, she was like, nobody cares about what your father once said. And then she walks off.
He's like, okay.
All right.
All right. So moving on. Let's get to Tyrion and Sansa in the bedroom. This is another, again, just how I love how he treats Sansa, and it's very awkward for them in this moment. And I didn't even realize that Sansa was that young, or because I know God, who's the actress that plays her? I can't think of her name right now.
Damn,
Sophie Turner. Sophie Turner's not that young, so she must be playing a lot younger. Or at least at this point in the show. I don't know how young she was in like 2013. But I'm pretty sure she wasn't 14.
She was older than 14. But that's how old. But the characters,
because even Dany in the show is supposed to be is skewed a little younger. I think she's skewed a little older in the show, but in the book she's supposed to be literally like I think the same age, like 14, 15.
Oh, she ain't 14, 15 in the show because they just showed her titties in this episode.
Well, in the show, no, of course not. But yeah, I mean, you have to age them up. But in the books, they are younger.
Yeah.
But of course, on the show, Sansa is 14. But I know Sophie Turner is she's a bit older, playing younger. But so she's getting undressed or starting to get undressed, and Tyrion is drunk and he's pouring himself another drink. And Sansa pours herself a drink, and this is just a place where neither one of them want to be at. So she starts to get undressed, and Tyrion is just like, I can't do this. He's like, I won't sleep with you or be in your bed until you want me to. And she says, well, what if I never want you to? And I don't know if he answers her or not, but he ends up ultimately passing out on one of the chairs in the room. But I just thought it was just a scene that again just goes to the awkwardness. Even like prior to the ceremony when he goes in to try to calm her down.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like the tail end of that after everything is done for the day.
Yeah.
Just the awkwardness and but again, I like how nurturing Tyrion is. Dario and Dany. So let's get to this. This
Dario and Dany, who's of age.
Who's of age? Let's make that point. Yes, this is not the books. This is not. Yeah, this is not the books.
Because she was in the tub with her titties out.
You had to make that point, huh?
And I was looking at it. So I hope she.
So what's the actress's name?
Emilia Clarke.
Emilia Clarke. Yeah, she's of age.
Okay.
So yes, so Dany is bathing and she has Missandei there, and she's got the sponge and rubbing her down, and so it looks like Dario was the one that pulled the coin to have to go in and murder Dany, or supposedly murder Dany. So he comes in.
Hold on.
What happened?
You gonna skip over the talk before that, because that talk is a real cool moment between Dany and Missandei, because Missandei is.
I'm overlooked that. What was it?
You was too busy looking at her titties.
No, I may have been writing some notes.
No, what notes did you write?
Dario and Dany.
2 words. They had a 5-minute conversation, and all you put was 2.
Look, 5 minutes. That's a little.
So basically, the conversation starts. The scene starts when we cut to them, and Missandei is bathing Dany.
Yeah.
She's explaining to Dany that. Or Dany is surprised that you know 19 different languages. And she says, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
And
now I remember.
Yeah, I bet you do. And then Missandei starts to instruct Dany on how to properly pronounce a word in Dothraki, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, and then it goes into the reveal that an assassin has entered the room. Mm-hmm. But before that, I mean, with that, I think I like the fact that it establishes Missandei as someone who is very intelligent and who's very cultured and has
absolutely
and has a lot of experience with different languages and things like that.
Absolutely.
So Dany has in her employ a wise and strong and smart, intelligent woman. And so I like that Missandei is not just her translator or her help, but someone who is very intelligent and who can teach her things, because she ended up teaching Dany how to properly pronounce that word in Dothraki.
Exactly. So yes, thank you, Darren.
And then you can get back to the sponge bath and the titties. Damn, man.
I wasn't even going to that. I was going to when Dario snuck in there. Mm-hmm. And was going to kill her, and then he reveals himself.
He wasn't going to kill her.
Yeah, I mean, he was dressed in unsullied armor to sneak in there, and then he never had any plans to really kill her. But
he just wanted to profess his love to her.
Basically, he wanted to profess his love and vow that he would fight with her and for her. And he showed her that, and to show this, he has the heads of his other 2 second sons, which I was like, damn, that was cold blooded, because when they cut from that last scene that we see all 3 of them, you never thought that scene was not going in that direction. Mm-hmm. But he kind of tells the story as far as what happened between the 2 of them, and it's like, man, that's cold blooded. So I mean, he's definitely showing his devotion and his vow to serve for Dany.
She gets out of the tub because she's like, so is that supposed to impress me? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, well, why would I trust someone who killed their own comrade? And he explains the story why. Mm-hmm. So then she stands up out of the tub naked, and she gets out, and he's standing right there, and Missandei eventually comes around and put the robe on. Mm-hmm. You know what the first thought in my mind was?
Uh-oh. Dare I ask?
I dare you.
What was the first thing that came to your mind?
How fucked up that is. Like, this stranger, she just met this man today.
And
she don't know this dude. This dude could be a fucking psycho. He just snuck in her bathroom while he was taking a bath. Yeah. Unannounced. Held her homegirl at knife point. and you gonna show him the goodies. Yet Jorah, my man, has been there. Your day one, your ride or die, friend zone guy,
loyal to the end.
He probably don't know what your back look like. Oh man, I was hurt. I was hurt for Jorah, man. I was hurt. And you know what? The whole time that man, your man was probably standing outside the door, the back.
Yeah, because they did have that one shot through the curtains that looked like it was a POV shot. And I wonder if that was Jorah.
Slip his wrist. Just take me. Slip his wrist.
Why?
Oh man.
Oh shit. Oh man, good stuff. Last scene, Sam kills a walker. How this scene? So him and Gilly. I was about to say Gully. Him and Gilly are seeking refuge for the night because it's cold. They find a cabin, and so they take comfort. They're trying to start a fire. They're with Gilly's son, and they're talking about names.
Yeah.
And they're talking about what's a good name. And so we get a little bit insight on Randall Tarley, which is Sam's father. And
Another asshole.
And how Gilly asks him, like, you know, is your father as mean as my father? And he's like, yeah. And you could see it. You could see it on Sam's face when she mentions Randall Tarley, because she's talking about name, and because Sam mentions Mormont, and he's like, you can't name your child Mormont. That's a last name. That's your family name. You know, your first name is your birth name, and then you have your family name, and that goes into the conversation about his father, Randall Tarley. So then there's a lot of crows outside. So in the beginning of the scene, we see one crow and they're hawking, and then you see a couple more crows around, and then they start hawking. And so by the end of this scene, there's just it almost feels like hundreds of crows out there, and we see a white walker in the distance, and Sam has his sword drawn as the walker comes toward. And this is the same walker that we saw at the end of season 2.
On horseback.
And the white walker comes towards Sam, and he has his sword drawn. The white walker blocks or holds the sword with his hand and shatters the sword and just pushes Sam aside. He goes towards Gilly and the baby, because ultimately he wants to get to the baby. And Sam pulls out the dragon glass and ends up stabbing the White Walker in the back, in the shoulder blade. And the White Walker starts to scream and yell, and then he ends up turning into solid ice and then shattering himself. And so then he takes Gilly and they run off, and then we see all those crows just kind of fly towards the screen. And
you know what that's called? Like, you know what that's called?
What's that?
All those crows like that? I think it's called a murder of crows, if I'm not mistaken.
Seriously?
I think so. I may be wrong. I might have just made that shit up. I don't know why.
A murder of crows. Did you hear that in the show?
No, not in the show. I think.
Oh, just in general. That's
like you wouldn't say a flock of crows.
A flock.
I want to say it's like a murder of crows.
A flock of geese, a flock of pigeons, a flock of doves, a flock of crows.
I want to say, like, you call crows, like a group of crows, you call it like a murder. It's not a flock. Okay. I could be wrong. I'm sorry. Sidebar. Anyway.
It's cool. But yeah, that's basically that scene and it really just to let us know Dragonglass. We established when they found Dragonglass and a little bit of what that was, but now we actually see Dragonglass being used, and ultimately how that can be used again in this final scene against the war that's ultimately going to happen between the Night King against the Night King and the White Walkers. But what do you think about that whole scene, that final scene?
Well, another important element or component of that scene is the fact that we have someone who was previously extremely cowardice.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Become fearless in his attempt to save Gilly and the baby.
Yeah. His bravery,
it shows because of his bravery. It shows how much he cares for them, that he's willing to set aside his own fear. Granted, this was a guy that you couldn't get to pick up a sword and defend himself to save his own life when it was at Castle Black, and also when they were out by the Fist of the First Man. Yet here he is face to face with a White Walker, and
Yeah.
Sam, without hesitation, takes
steps
action.
up, yeah.
So that's a big deal for that particular character.
Absolutely. And to see the growth of Sam and his journey throughout the season, where he is now at the Citadel, becoming a Maester, he's come a long way. And this is the beginnings of that. To see that, so I thought it was a strong way to end this episode. Going into the next episode, please stay tuned, and we'll give you our thoughts on that. He's been dreading watching this. I'm kind of dreading it too. I've seen it recently because I just binged the whole season about 2 years ago for the first time, but he hasn't seen it since 2013.
I haven't seen it since it aired. Yeah,
which has been 6 years since you said.
Trust me, I remember. I might not remember a bunch of stuff from season 1, 2, and even part of season 3, but the Red Wedding I definitely remember. And while I might not remember specifics or details, I remember the emotions, how I felt watching that shit.
Yeah, and the feeling you had afterwards.
I'm not looking forward to revisiting that feeling.
Oh, man.
Damn, man.
So stay tuned for our recap and review of episode 9, The Reigns of Castamere. But anyway, let us know what you thought of this episode, Second Sons. Is episode 8 of season 3. I can't believe we're just about done. Moving along. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. Remember to rate, like, subscribe, and share. And check out the other dorks at Mouth Dork, at Sidewalk Siren, at WB Dash. I did that all which way around. It's all good. Find them there. I'm the Turtle Dork. This is the Disco Dork. And with that, we're out.